Well, how about this? I have Tabitha Stitt. Oh, wait, Stitt, STITT.com, also on the line here. And hi, how are you?
I'm doing excellent. Thank you so much for having me, Paul. It's lovely to see you, and it's lovely to be here.
Well, it's lovely to have the opportunity to speak with you, especially because of the content of what we're going to talk about. Let's go right to it because I want people, because I think all people have this in their lives, how setbacks can lead to personal development. And You're really focused in on this subject. I'm reading about you, and I know there was a famous book a long time ago called "The Road Less Traveled" by a guy named F. Scott Peck, and it was on for like almost 890 weeks on the New York Times. And his first three words that he wrote in that foreword was "Life is difficult," and then he said, the kind of things you say, and you say them in another beautiful, important way. What is it about things that happen in our lives, from jobs to marriages to non-marriages to arthritis? They're all part of the big pictures. How do you what are some thoughts about how to make our life more and you see peaceful? That's
Absolutely. Yeah. Wonderful question. As a professional psychic medium, I work with clients all over. So, I do most of my client work online so that way I can work all over the world essentially. So many clients come to me with these types of issues. A lot of times we have these setbacks, per se, that seem to keep us stuck. We don't realize that they're happening. We don't know why they're happening. And for me, my own personal issues that I've had in the past and still currently every once in a while, it's the ebb and flow of life. It's like, what do we do with this information? How do we handle this? And a lot of times we just choose to remain stuck. And again, as a psychic medium, I tap in and I help them see their potential. So I'm working. So a lot of times, like as a psychic medium, you think like a medium is bringing through a loved one, which typically that is the case. The work that I do is I actually work psychically. So I'm connecting with you as, the client as psychically. So I'm tapping into your soul, your higher self, your spirit, whatever you'd like to call it, and I'm pretty much helping you see the bigger picture, why something happens. And it essentially at the end of the day gives us that strength, right? We can either choose to, again, remain stuck, or we can choose to use it to grow. And so that's why I focus on like your soul's purpose. A lot of times what we go through is intentional by the universe, even though I know that that can be very heartbreaking. It's not easy. It's heart wrenching in the moment. We don't understand it. But once we do get past it, which we all essentially will at the end of the day with the support and the love and the connection, um, we can see the bigger picture and we look back and we're like, okay, now we can use those setbacks as a way to help others, as a way to feel more connected, as a way to not only help ourselves, like, okay, yeah, I got through it. It gave me the strength. Now we can help others with it. So in the moment, it's hard and we don't understand why it's happening. But afterwards, because we're going to get through it with that support, right? We can see that it essentially helps us, and it gives us this, it's like this guiding light. It's this ironic guiding light. Makes me think of Alanis Morissette, that song Ironic, how she's like, all these weird things happen, but at the end of the day, it's like, well, how you have a choice, more or less. You can either choose to use it for the betterment, or you can choose to somehow let it sabotage you, right? And that's a whole nother ball game as well as far as sabotage goes. But yes, but we're all trying to figure things out, and we're all humans, right? We're all human beings having the spiritual experience as a human, right? And none of us have all the answers. None of us do, but we're all trying to figure it out day by day. And so with that, that's how we can utilize those experiences that are
so
heartbreaking. Go
So
ahead.
how do you, so we're meeting right now, the first time.
Yeah.
And somehow I found you. I don't want to, I mean, I know how I found you this time, through our good friend, and mutual friend.
Mhm.
And so how did they go look up psychic medium or psychic? How does somebody find you? What are some of the things besides your knowing your website to begin with?
Yeah, absolutely. So for if you're wanting to work with me personally, it would be tabithastitt.com. So, TABITHASTITT, tabithastitt.com. I'm also the self-help psychic. So you can look me up that way as well as the self-help psychic. Um, but if you're just wanting to work with a psychic medium in general, like with all professions and careers, you're going to be drawn to specific ones, right? So based off of their reviews and their testimonials and how they work and what your intention is. So, for example, if you're wanting to speak, if you've just lost a loved one and you're really wanting to connect with them, I would look up what that psychic medium specialty is. And then if you're wanting to connect with a loved one, then you would want to go that route. But for me personally, I'm helping you activate the purpose within you and to help you see and confirm also and give you those ideas.
So are you saying with the loved one, okay? If you want to connect, these are big words up into themselves. If you
Yeah.
want to connect with a loved one who you've just lost, I think we were talking about you mentioning, okay? So that's I guess for the first thing, I guess for the everyday kind of person is to somehow come to the thought that that would be something that by doing that it could be helpful for me and helpful for my healing and helpful for the loved one's healing, depending how, how open-minded you are, I will say. I use it in that manner. I personally happen to be extremely open-minded in all these. I'm an interfaith, all faith minister and spiritual, so I'm very spiritual. I'm a one guy. I'm an Om Shanti Shanti Om guy. I believe in all this uh, um, togetherness, and DNA has proven it too in our lifetime. Um, but it's everything sort of starts on the education, right? The first, I think, because the first is, all right, I lost my job. All right, I lost my friend. I lost my family member. Now what do I do? Do I sit and I just had a little heartache and I'm trying to figure out, how to, and someone's just even told me, I suggest you go and speak to somebody. I think speaking to somebody is a good news story. I
Yeah.
think because you know what you know, and you only sort of like know what you know. So opening up, and I think verbalizing what's on your mind is even twice as good. I mean, you could be doing it in your brain, but saying the words, "I miss that person who passed away. I would like to feel. I missed the one I just broke up with. I missed I lost my job. I loved my job, but AI is taking it over." And so, how do you get to that knowledge that you could maybe help yourself by finding somebody like you to help me through this? How do you realize it? What do you suggest?
Yeah. Okay. So wonderful. You pointed out so many wonderful aspects in my mind. My brain's going a million miles a
And
minute.
I ask 100 questions when I ask.
No, it's okay. I love it. So grieving comes in so many different ways, right? And like you just said, it could be a loss of a loved one, a loss of even a pet, a loss of a job. It's the grieving process of losing something, right? Because it was once there and now it's gone. Like it's physically either not present anymore or you don't see it, you don't sense it. But that's the magic in the work that not only I do, but all of us essentially, really, because it still exists. So for example, we just lost our sweet pup last month, so just a month ago. And I've had her for 15 years, and all of a sudden she's just not here. The energy of our home is different. but I would say that it's heart wrenching, right? So you're crying your eyes out. Maybe you're feeling numb, and I would look into what grieving looks and feels like because it's different for everyone. But allow yourself to experience that. Allow yourself to feel those feelings, and whether that's crying or talking to someone, or maybe you need to express yourself in a different kind of way. Maybe you've discovered that you have some sort of art within you that needs to just be expressed, or you need to talk to someone. So all these different things, depending on what you feel is calling towards you, will help you with the healing process. And one of the ways is speaking with a psychic medium, without a doubt. And I would especially say, like, if you feel, and or like you said, you're open to it, I would suggest talking to a friend and saying, hey, do you know of a psychic medium? Because a lot of times it's word of mouth, or if it's someone that you feel you resonate with. But at the end of the day, everything is connected, right? Everything is. And you don't have to be a psychic medium to experience your loved one, whether that's a pet or a person. They're still around. And I know it's so hard because as humans, we're so fixated on the physical, right? But if you ask to be open to receiving a message, or ask to be open to receiving a sign or a feeling, I know without a doubt it will absolutely happen. And a lot of times we trick ourselves into thinking, oh, that can't be it, or oh, that's silly, or oh, I'm just imagining things, but you're not. Spirit is communicating with you in a different format. And I know this from my own personal experiences as losing loved ones, but also as a psychic medium, I'm communicating that way with others. And so but you hit the nail on the head when you said healing. Like it is essentially all healing, and it depends on who you are and what you feel drawn to do.
Let me ask you a question because
Yeah.
the psychic uh, uh, medium, so the being psychic,
Yes.
explain that for us, uh, and how does that what makes you a psychic?
Okay. No, I love the question. So I feel like we're all intuitive. You, me, all of us are intuitive. And I came across this young fella. We went to an amusement park, my husband and I, and we met this young fella, and he drew a picture of us. And he was so fascinating. And he says, I call it, well, for one, he had no idea what a psychic medium was. And I go, oh, okay, interesting. He was 17, never heard of it. And then I started explaining it, and he said, oh, you mean like your instinct? And I'm like, yes, that's a perfect way of explaining it. So it's more than just your instinct. I'm saying all humans have instinct. You can think of it as your intuition, right? But as a psychic, you're going even deeper. It's with any craft or profession. The more that you practice, the more that you trust in what you're receiving, the more that you'll be able to provide these accurate messages to someone. But just to rewind slightly, I'm a licensed school teacher, so I was teaching for 7 years consecutively, and all of a sudden I felt drawn, the intuition, to becoming a Reiki practitioner, which is an energy healer, more or less. And the very first time I ever provided Reiki to someone, I clairvoyantly, I didn't know it at the time, but apparently I was experiencing clairvoyance. I saw this Native American spirit guide. I would assume that's what he was. And he kept thanking me. He kept saying, thank you, thank you, thank you for what I was doing. I was helping that person heal. And ever since then, as a Reiki practitioner, then I was just, the more I would be open to providing healing for someone, the more I was receiving these messages. And I would tell my client, and they would be like, how the hell do you know that? And I'm like, I don't know. So it's almost like just being open to the universe. It's receiving the download, it's trusting it. And then, if you're interested in it, you can continue practicing with it, or you can talk to someone about it. But really, it comes down to trusting what you're receiving and then conveying that message to someone else. So once I started receiving the messages clairvoyantly, I started practicing with another psychic medium, and she drew it out in me. And here we are today,
Hey,
12
yeah.
years later. So, yeah.
Have you written a book, or are you writing articles, or what other media have you gone into?
Yeah, so you're intuitive yourself, right? So I have not written a book yet, but I am being guided by my own spiritual team up there to write a book. So I'm happy that you mentioned that. So that's confirmation once again to write a book. So I think all these messages that I provide, I usually do them on YouTube or Instagram as a collective. I also have the Circle, which is a group, especially for women, but to provide these messages as well. So different medias that I've been on is in Goss magazine. So it's for women, specifically businesses. And I was actually on Mel Robbins was the front of the magazine. So I was able to merge in that way universally with her. And so, yeah, that's what I'm doing. And I'm working one-on-one, and I have my courses that I teach as well. But I'm glad you mentioned the book because the spirit won't let me forget. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna write it.
I like spirit also. Let me ask one last question. I know we could probably talk a long, long time because
Oh yeah.
I'm interested in what you do, and I like the way you do it from what I'm hearing now. Okay, and there's always a nice difference between reading about somebody and then actually experiencing somebody, at least in this Zoom way of life. Uh,
Right.
and in person still is, I'm sold on in person always is still the greatest of all opportunities. So we do peace, we're involved with peace and all these kinds of conversations that you're sharing with us are in essence leading to peace for somebody's life. And I've asked thousands of people, what is peace for them? What is peace? So for you, what does peace mean to you?
Oh, what a beautiful question. I believe that peace is feeling as though you're aligned with what you're meant to do. So many of us are feeling stuck and confused. And I think the more that you follow what is calling in your heart, the more that you're going to feel peaceful. And at first, it might not seem that way because it might seem you might be out of your comfort zone doing it. But then it's going to provide that peace. So I think it's feeling it within you and seeing the results, seeing that you're ultimately helping others by following what's within your heart and trusting that. So I think it comes down to inner peace within you. And then as you do that, it just projects out more and more and more. And you see, it's like that butterfly effect, right? You see how it's affecting others as well.
Okay, I love your thinking. I love your thoughts. Congratulations. And I just add one addendum just because I love this also about you. I love the way you emphasize others, and others and others. That unselfish approach tells me that you're really good at what you're doing, that you understand the importance that it ain't about me, it's about them
Right.
and them and us. But I love that way of approaching our fellow human beings. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. No, thank you so much, Paul. I've enjoyed this so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.